Oh my God, I'm so sorry. We're like 15 minutes late, but it happens. I did not know Benson had a webcam. I guess you're using it on your MacBook. So
I'm a MacBook, yeah.
he's an Apple guy. I'm not an Apple guy. So hopefully we get along. But yeah, thanks for tuning in on this one. Again, apologize it took so long. I'm not going to do any shout outs. Just announcing the next guest is next Saturday. Don't have a specific time in mind yet. It's going to be sometime Saturday, like maybe afternoon, because it's going to be Buck, and he is European time. So he's like 6 hours ahead. So I got to respect his time on it. So anyways, today's guest is Benson, and we're going to dual host this with TheDodeman. I generally don't, not a huge fan of dual hosting, but TheDodeman tracked him down. And I don't even know where to begin with Benson, because he goes as far back as basically like, how far back do you go? Let's just start with that. What?
I don't know. So online, back to like THPS 3. But like THPS 3 before the official network adapter came out, so I don't know what it was. Like it was like a Linksys adapter or something like that you could use. That would like go from I think an Ethernet to the USB port into the PS3. Yeah, and so I got on that pretty early, like online, and that was like really magical to me. Before then, I played 1 and 2, but just kind of like here and there with like a friend. But like I wasn't real hardcore about it. I didn't get like real hardcore until I started playing like 3.
Was it always PlayStations?
Yeah, always PlayStation. I was always a PlayStation guy. I never really played PC. I think when 3 PC came out, I played that a little bit just so I would know what it's like. But like trying to use, I don't know, I think it was using a keyboard then or something. And I just couldn't do it. Like it was all about using the PS controller, and then yeah, all about using the PS controller and just the feel. I don't know. I just didn't like PC. I've never been a PC gamer, so I just wasn't that into it.
Never touched the N64 version?
I did not. No, I didn't have that.
Man, spare you the pain.
Yeah.
I remember it. The controls were terrible. I couldn't get used to it, but
yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for doing this. I know you're a very busy person, and especially all growing up now. So hopefully we can pickle your brain and you can remember, quite a bit of things for the community, because a lot of people have been looking forward to this podcast. I've had a lot of messages like, "Hey, I'm looking forward to Benson's podcast." So yeah.
Nice. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah.
Through Dode.
Through Dode. And you got to confirm have you guys been in contact throughout the years? How did you guys even this wouldn't have happened without Dode, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, social media. I think I'm just still in touch with some people through social media. We were together on Facebook. I know I got rid of my Facebook about like 6, 7, 8 months ago, something like that. But I'm on Instagram, so I think Dode, you hit me up through Insta, and then of course like LinkedIn, and I'm pretty sure we're on there. So yeah, those are my social channels at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Facebook. What was going
on? I mean, that's
I've never had one, so I don't know.
I pay attention to politics and what's been going on with Facebook, and I mean, all about like Cambridge Analytica and whatnot. I mean, there's a lot of reasons not to like Facebook. So, and I get it before anybody says. I know that Instagram's owned by Facebook as well, but I at least just want to get away from Facebook. I feel like there's a few reasons that it's not really necessarily a great thing for your life. So
yeah, I've heard it's like a vampire just sucking you away. Yeah,
it does, man. It does. And you know what? It was really hard to get off of Facebook. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh, my friends are here. All the people I know, like being able to keep up with what they're doing. Like I want to be able to do that. But ultimately, I just had to get off. And then once I got off, like I don't miss it whatsoever. Like I'm super happy. I feel like a little bit more of my life is freed up.
Cool.
I can't imagine there being toxicity and politics on Facebook. Shocker.
Yeah, it's just life's much better, much quieter now.
Cool. Well, now you have the brain power to do more Tony Hawk stuff here.
I could.
Cool. All right. So, how old were you? Do you remember when you first started playing? Let's start I don't know. Tony Hawk 3 Online, I guess, would be the most important thing.
I don't remember, but somebody could do the math. I'm 41 right now. So I started like I said, I started playing hardcore when 3 came out, and then I was online, played 1 and 2, just here and there before then. So when I started playing, like officially, would be kind of in the middle of when 1 was out, I guess. But again, hardcore like with 3. I don't know what years those were.
2000 for 1, and then 1 year each year after that. So 2003 for 3.
Okay. So I guess I was like in my early 20s.
Oh, okay. Dang. Yeah, I started when I was like 14, 13, something like that.
Yeah, man, that was most of the scene. Like, I know most of the people that that were on the site were definitely on the younger side. It made for, I don't know, it was pretty cool. There are some really cool people that I met early on and still am in touch with, but also made for some unnecessary drama, I would say, that happened just due to people's age and maturity levels. Not that I was that mature then, but I mean, there's a bit of a difference between like 14 and like 20s for most people.
Huge difference. I was a huge pain in the ass, and then I turned 20. It's like, oh my god. Or just as soon as you're done with high school, it's like, oh my god, I was the biggest dumbass. Yeah. So you didn't have to deal with dial-up. You were, because you had that Ethernet to whatever. Does that mean that you didn't have dial-up, or did you have dial-up?
I mean, I have had dial-up. As far as like using computers online and whatnot, I've been doing that since like 300 baud, since I was like, I don't know, like 12, 11 years old or something like that. So I've gone back a long while. But as far as using dial-up for Tony Hawk, I don't think that I did. I think I would have gotten super frustrated and wanted to stop playing.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I can't imagine Tony Hawk on dial-up.
Yeah, well, I asked some people, and some people did start on dial-up, and it was just like, yeah, they shared my pain on that. So
Yeah, it's wild.
Cool. Well, so I'm going to do more general questions, and then I'm actually going to have Dode take over, and I'll kind of go more to the background. But I do have the same questions that Dode has. He gave them to me, so I'll be able to follow along, and maybe, we'll queue together on some stuff. But a couple more generals would be your favorite Tony Hawk game.
So that's going to be 3, just because 3 is nostalgic to me. Again, that's when I really started playing hardcore. And was able to get online. And online was like, I don't know, it's just an amazing experience, just being able to play a video game online, period. Like back in the day, I think there were, I don't know how many games actually were PS2 games, or PS3, I guess is what I played it on, were actually online. But I feel like it was like maybe 4 or something like that, because there was no official network adapter. There weren't a ton of people. So if you got online and were playing Tony Hawk online, it was like a special club to be in,
Yeah, it was PS2. Yeah.
Oh, was it PS2? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. I get my PlayStations mixed up.
Yeah, well, there's so many. There's 5 coming out next year, so what the hell?
Yep.
That's unreal. So since you mentioned just the unreal aspect of playing a game online, do you recall, like, when they had VHS tapes showing what the future of video games is going to be? Like, when PlayStation and N64 was around, you could get, like, a VHS, and it would see like, oh, bet in the future you'll be able to play online, and it was just like, no way, and then it just happened like 2 years later. Did you ever see that?
Oh shit! No, I don't remember seeing that VHS. Sorry, I was just kind of taken aback. I totally remember and love that little thing you did, Dode, that the carousel back to the helicopter pad. Forgot about that. But I don't know. Yeah, it's awesome. I don't remember that VHS. What I do remember is when we were putting videos onto the site, and I was trying to get them from people, at least a few. I don't know, maybe they were on dial-up or something. A few TXO members would actually physically mail me VHS tapes that I would then capture and put on.
Oh, seriously? I didn't know that. That's crazy.
So you go from like a VCR to like a capture card?
Yeah, 100%.
Yep, yeah, for sure. I used to record on VCR too sometimes. When my computer was full, I would like put in a VHS and record shit. Oh my god.
Wow.
There was no way to like get it off your, well, I guess you could always do like a VCR recording off your PlayStation feed. But like, no, people would just record themselves at other times, so I wouldn't have to like end up sitting online all the time with them and try to record them. So yeah, then they would just, I feel like Kev is who I really remember. Kevin, maybe. Oh man, there are a lot of names that I'm just kind of remembering. I think Killer was like a real young kid. He was real good in TXO.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he sent me a whole bunch of stuff.
Cool. So from Tony Hawk 3, I would assume that your favorite level is in Tony Hawk 3, or do you have a favorite level in another game?
No, so Dodeman happens to be in that level right now. Airport, I think, was my favorite.
I just
Ew.
switched.
Oh, my
I
bad.
just
Obviously,
switched.
I don't remember that well, but yeah. So what's this, LA, right?
This is LA, yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's been a while. It's been a while since I played any Tony Hawk. Probably been a good at least 10 years, I would assume.
Damn. Did you ever do whoring in Airport?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried. I wasn't. I wasn't that good, but yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I would try to do. This whole improv thing was, relatively new. But I would try to whore. I would do my best. I don't think I was ever that good. But otherwise, I think most of the game for me was just doing like Dode's doing, just hanging around, like chatting with people, and yeah, just being in lobbies.
You think it was mainly like the younger people that are really pushing that type of stuff? Like while the older people were chilling out, were the younger people going hardcore, trying to get high scores, trying to really push improv? Or was it like older people were chilling and improving? Like, was there an age difference between stuff that you noticed? Hard question, I'm sure, but I'm just curious.
Oh no. Well, so I'm thinking about it in two ways. One, improv like wasn't a thing until later. At least as far as like when I got in. Like, at first, when we first put together TXO, which was, I think we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but was T30 initially because we were on THPS 3 and then T40. I kept changing names of things to try to keep up with the different versions, but which I don't think was always great, but it eventually evolved to TXO. So forget where I was going with all that, but yeah, so initially it was all, there was no real improv. So the age difference, I don't think so. I think everybody just went for that because that was what you did in the game. That was like the point of the game, was to try to get, in a lot of ways, to try to get a high score, unless you're just hanging out. And then improving became like a thing, of course, with like, I think Mike putting together that whole, I mean, it wasn't the tournament that made it a thing. It just kind of evolved, and I think he helped lead the charge on that. But again, like I said, my memory is not 100%, but that seems to make sense to me at least.
All right. Well, this ain't gonna help since it's so far back. But since you were part of basically when the community just started, is there anything that people used to do that throughout the years of your playing that they stopped doing? Like, because we know about improv, we know about whoring, we know about like, they used to do graffiti battles, King of the Hill, all this stuff. But was there any like random thing, like, blackjack? We used to play blackjack. We'd get like a number, and if you went over, you'd lose. You'd have like 30 seconds to get a specific number, you'd lose. It was like a community created thing, right? It wasn't an actual game mode. Was there any like community created things that just disappeared over time that you used to remember playing?
I hear what you're saying. I can't think of anything like that, quite honestly.
Oh. Okay. That's a good thing. I mean, I'm kind of glad that we're not missing out on something.
Yeah, no, I feel like 100%. What happened was that really people, played the game for the game. Kind of, there was, of course, offline, and people would like usually beat that pretty quickly and then hop online as soon as they figured out that was a thing that they could do. And then people would just hang out in lobbies, do the trick attack. I forget what the other game modes were. There's like King of the Hill, right? And then I forget what else. But then I remember glitching becoming a thing because there was quite a few glitches in 3. And especially online, it was real cool to be able to kind of get outside the level and get stuck in objects and do whatever. And it really seems to me like what happened was that all these different kind of things to accentuate the game came out and happened, and we just kept building as the whole community just kept building and building on what it was that we were able to do. And it kind of, there was different people into different things, and they each kind of had their own community. Obviously, it was part of the larger community, but people that like to do certain things, like create parks and whatnot, would kind of hang out with people who like to create parks, it seemed like, and people who like to glitch would hang out with people who like to glitch, and just do that more. And that's a big reason why TXO, what we did was create these like hosted sites where we had content related to different things you could do in the game. Yeah, I won't go too much more into that right now.
I'm sure saving that for Dode. I ain't even going. Cool. Since you mentioned creative park, is there a favorite creative park you had?
There's not, honestly. I don't remember any.
Don't even remember them. Hey,
any particular creative park. Yeah.
do you remember Elysium's Death or Glory parks on Tony Hawk 4? Where you would do a line from basically A to B, but in between A to B, there would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like these gaps that you would have to get. And you get them all in a row.
I don't honestly. I remember Elysium. I just don't remember the parks.
Got it. That's fair.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite trick?
Sorry, I saw that. Like when I was looking, I mean, it's not a secret, I guess. We get some of these questions up front, and so I was looking through them, and I was like, man, some of these things that are like to like being a skillful player and like really being into certain content on Tony Hawk, I just don't even remember that well. So I just was never that technical or good of a player. So sometimes I don't know, some of the things I just really don't remember.
It's fair. Yeah. I'm not very good either, so it works out pretty good.
Whatever.
So I listened to a couple episodes before this, and I don't believe that. I haven't seen you play.
Don't believe it for a minute. MistaFreeze is one of the best. He's awesome at the game.
I've got my own little thing that I do, but like a lot of the new players, they would. I mean, if you saw how many buttons the new players press and what kind of shit they're doing, the precision they're doing, you'd shit your pants. I mean, it's unreal. Yeah, some of them are just
that
crazy.
is true.
Yeah. I was gonna ask the favorite trick. Did you have a favorite trick for style or?
Yeah. So I was always a fan of like the ground tricks, like the manuals and whatnot. So actually, I think the Casper slide I used to do a lot. I always thought that was really cool. The idea of being able to, or that was a grind, right? To be able to flip your board upside down and then like slide along, like in real life and in the game. That was pretty awesome. Dark slide also, as far as the manuals. And I was thinking about as far as an air, I don't remember this trick. Maybe Dode, you can do it if you know. But there was this trick that I really used to. I don't know. I just liked the style of it, where basically the board's stuck to your back and you're just kind of sticking all your limbs out.
It's like a coffin air or something, maybe. And I'd have to map it up.
Gotcha.
Somebody in chat tell us it's assume this position the Nevada says.
So I thought that's what it was, and then I went and looked up on the internet what assume the position looked like, and just I don't know. It didn't seem like that was it, but I don't know. If you can do it, maybe like you're just basically spinning with the board attached to your back.
And yes, exposed. Dode's exposed right now. I have no specials mapped. I don't use them.
He doesn't use them. I like it.
I don't use specials at all. Let's see. Assume the position. It would have to be is that Intug Pro?
I think they just added it. It'd be a grab. Yeah, it'd be a special grab. I don't know. I thought they just added. Someone was telling me that. I could be wrong.
So Nevada, I see in the chat.
It is. LED says it.
He was joking about assumed position. Thinks it's a backspin air, but who knows?
Backspin air? Okay.
Backspin air is where you're like literally spinning around on the board on your back. I think.
Let's go left down.
I'm wrong about half the time, so it's a gamble.
I'm seeing assume the position too. I don't know. Regardless, I don't know. I thought it was pretty cool move at the time. Dude, I probably just had it mapped and could only like do that like quickly, because I just wasn't good at pressing a whole lot of the buttons at the right times. I fell on my ass a lot.
That was Tony Hawk 4, right? That trick, or was it Tony Hawk 3? I think I remember it was on Tony Hawk 4. Could be wrong. Yeah. Well, all right, there goes that.
Cool.
But yeah, we're on a roll. We're doing really good. Favorite videos from when you were playing?
Was that it?
Oh, yeah. You got it right there. What was that?
Okay. So assume the position confirmed.
Okay. No, I think it would just jam down like the R1 or something like that and just spin while I'm doing that all the time. Anyways, favorite videos. I don't honestly. I don't remember any specific videos. So since I listened to some of the podcasts before, I do remember someone had mentioned Andy's project video, and I do remember that coming out, and that was pretty badass from like having a little bit more cinematography going into the actual videos. Mm-hmm. But specific videos, I don't remember a favorite one or any of them, to tell you the truth.
Fair. What was your favorite game mode back in the day?
I mean, I don't think I had one really. Honestly, I just liked being in lobbies and talking with people. just bullshitting, just hanging
Free
around.
skate.
Yeah, free skate.
He's the most chill mofo there is. just chilling.
I mean, think about this. Like when I got on, like when I started playing, there were some really good players that I met. I mean, I'm sure I started out and there were just some random people, but again, the community was pretty small because you had to have that special network adapter. But some of the people I started hanging out with were really good. Had just a good relationship with them. Ended up starting up this clan. And so then ended up hanging out for the most part with people in the clan and T3O. And so I think the lobbies were only, I don't know if they still are, but we're only like 4 people at a time or something like that. So I just hang out with them for hours. And honestly, they would just be so good and so far ahead of me. I'd just be like, hey, teach me some stuff. But also I'm a little bit older and I feel like my hands don't move as fast and I'm never going to be able to do what you guys are doing. So I'm happy to just hang out when you guys play a game. I'll participate because I kind of have to. But but I'm not really competing. I'm just trying to go. So yeah, most of the time I just like hanging out, just talking to people, just creating relationships,
But you did do some trick attack. What was the highest score you ever got? Legit.
I don't know, man.
Not even knowing. All right.
A million points.
A million points. Yeah. All right. Well, sir, that's my general questions. All right. I'm gonna have Dode step in because now we're talking about like T3O or T3O.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Little T, capital 3, or not capital 3, but a 3 and then a little O.
Dode, help me, please.
All right. Well, yeah. So I wasn't there from the beginning, but I started hanging around. I think right when THPSX, the first iteration, came online. Cool. So that would have been mid Tony Hawk 4, probably something like that.
Okay, sounds about right.
Yeah, so I don't have the true context, but I did a project when we rewrote the history when we relaunched the site ahead of HD. I did that history project, and so I learned a lot about the history of it. Plus, I like history in general. I think Nevada in chat is like me, just fascinated by it, fascinated by the inception of the community. So anyway, appreciate the opportunity to jump on and chime in a little bit here. MistaFreeze.
Yeah.
All right. So was T3O the first clan you were involved in, Benson?
Yeah, I think so.
You didn't get into any, like there wasn't really anything before that group of people you hung out with or whatever?
I don't think so. Again, the community was small. I just kind of got on. I wasn't that great, so I just hang out with people. I don't think that I joined any other clan. I think at some point there were a couple people, or I don't know how many people that I used to hang out with on the regular in lobbies, and was just like, hey, or actually probably would start at first before actually thinking about a clan. So I was like, oh man, I can make websites and design some websites and stuff. So why don't I try to get some of this stuff up? Because there's no there was one community site, but I don't know how much of a community site it was versus just being about the game.
You remember what it was called?
Planet Tony Hawk, PTH.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was a big one. I think it was part of some game company group of game sites. I forget which one.
GameSpy was actually involved. It was I can't remember what the whole. I know what you're talking about though. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think I just made the site, and then eventually the idea of a clan started and came up, and we eventually made that.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So how many people do you think, I mean, you've alluded to it a little bit, but it sounds like before the official PlayStation Network adapter was a thing and people were using USB modems, how many people do you think actually played online? It sounds like, the lobbies were maybe a little bit limited. I didn't play. I was a Christmas noob. I only played when the network adapter came online. So I don't really even know. How many people do you think were pretty active to play online at the time?
I don't know. Maybe maybe 100, 200, something like that. I mean,
wow.
Of people you would see around, but not that you plan at any one time. Yeah. Also, I've alluded to about just 3 and the online, the early days. What also is interesting about it is that you could only use a keyboard to chat. So you literally had to put down your controller and type in this special PlayStation keyboard that would hook up via USB to have a chat. it was interesting.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it wasn't
maybe not so awesome.
It didn't seem that bad at the time. I mean, it was just nice to be able to be online. To be able to communicate with people was, pretty cool. But you couldn't communicate outside in like I don't know if you can now, but outside when you weren't in like one of the lobbies, just like free skating. You couldn't like invite people to your rooms and like all that. Just people had
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much the same now. I mean, because Thug Pro that I'm playing right now, this is what you generally play this. There's some other people that play some other games online in the Tony Hawk series here and there, but this is the predominant one that seems to be the most popular, and it works. It's based on the Thug 2 engine, so just like Thug 2, so same type of deal.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. So TXO really at the time at its inception, when you kind of merged and if you want to talk about the history of T3O to T4O to eventually TXO, please feel free. But it became the clan to be a part of. It was recognized as well known for having the game's best players. Were the first group of people in T3O of the same caliber. Were they the best of the best at the time for T3O?
So I think, and it's funny. So I'm thinking about answering these questions, trying to get them as good as I can, because I feel like Andy's going to give me some shit if if I get some of this wrong, because I know he was there. He was part of those early players. I'd like to say that I don't know if they were 100% the best of the best. They're pretty damn good, and especially compared to what people did kind of offline, or what I knew how to do offline. And what people generally did, they were a lot better than most people. And I can only trying to think of some names from those early days. I went and checked out some screen caps that I had made of like some earlier versions of the site. So I know like there's like Chosen One was a big one. Toby was also big. I think Killer was part of that time also. I'm not sure who else besides Andy right now. So forgive me if anybody from that era is still around and I forgot you, but yeah, I remember those four.
Nice. There's actually this ongoing debate of MistaFreeze doing these podcasts. A lot of names have come up, and people are like, hey, do you know how to get a hold of so-and-so? And there's a couple of names that have come up that nobody seems to know where they are or how to get a hold of them. So hopefully they show up somewhere along the line just so we can say hello.
I think one more I just want to put out. I don't know that he knows about or is doing this. So Narkill, I was good friends with Narkill. Still am in touch with him. I don't know if he was part of that like super early set of people also, but I could totally see that he maybe was part of that.
He's pretty damn early. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I remember him. The earliest I remember him was when he was in F8 before he joined TXO.
Narkill was in F8?
Pretty sure. Somebody shoot me down if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was. We can challenge each other and try to jog our memories, Benson.
Yeah, it's hard. It's what did we say it was? Like early, it's like 20 years ago almost.
2003. So
yeah, it's wild.
That is wild. Okay. All right. So we talked about we did that TXO history write-up, and that was something that you and I worked together. We put it up on TXO's Facebook page still. Anyway, it says that you and I think you and I talked about this in, I don't know, an email or something. You approached Andy several times about joining the clan. What was the final, like, how did you finally convince him? Because it sounded to me like you kind of like hunted him down, like you really wanted to get part of the clan. And what was the final thing where you got him to agree to do it?
So I'm not sure. I'll keep thinking. Maybe I'll remember it as after. Yeah, I definitely was trying to pester him for it. I mean, because from early on, he was the best player. He was like, recognized as the best player. So I really wanted him to be part of this clan because, I just wanted the clan to be awesome, and being able to get the best player obviously is a huge coup. I don't think he wanted to join any clan for a long time. He just kind of wanted to do his own thing and, not attach it or have anybody else be using his cachet. But I don't know. I definitely hit him up a whole bunch of times to try to get him in. I'm trying to think of if there was some like spark or something that happened that got him to actually join.
Maybe I'll use whatever you say so I can get him on this podcast.
Episode 69 is what he
I
said.
already gave up. I was like, look, I'm going to ask you a few times, but I haven't asked him in a while. I'm like, I give up. I'm done. He's going to have to ask me now.
Yeah, it just takes a while. It takes a while to kind of get comfortable with whatever it is that you want to do. Yeah, I don't know. I hope these answers don't suck, but I don't really remember exactly why or how or when he got in. I mean, obviously it was early. I feel like I tried to get some of the other members that were in also that he was good friends with. I know Chosen One and Toby and us, we all played together a lot. But again, he just wanted to be the lone holdout. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what got him in.
It was money. He mailed him like a few $100. It's like, here you go.
I mean, it might have been. I don't know. He was probably like 12 years old. Hey, man, $20.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder how old he was. He would have had been pretty young because he's younger than you, I believe, isn't he, Benson? I don't know.
Yeah. Fuck
You're feeling old today, aren't you?
I am. Yeah. Yeah. MistaFreeze was telling Dode earlier that last night I was at a hockey game, Washington Capitals. So big fan. At a Capitals game, and these people wanted to get by me, and they're like, "Hey, do you mind if we squeeze by you?" And I was like, "No, not at all. It's cool." And they went by, and they're like, "Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir." I'm like, "What am I, like an elderly dude?" So yeah, that's just what being called to feels like.
Well, it's worse when you say like "miss" to a woman, right? They're like, "What the fuck?" You start saying that, they might punch you out. Yeah, you gotta watch for that.
No, that's funny.
But yeah, to Andy's age, I don't know. So thinking about the math, I feel like he was about 17 when I heard that he got recruited by Neversoft, and I feel like I hadn't had the site for that long. So I'm gonna guess that he was like 14 or 15 at the time.
Wow,
with TXO.
That's crazy.
Or whatever.
Well, just to confirm or deny the rumors, Andy, you'll have to maybe escalate your episode 69 up a little bit. Let's get you on here. All right. So once Andy joined, you feel like that elevated the clan to a whole nother place? Was that the thing now? Okay, you already had some great players, but then you ended up like all the elite players wanted to join, because that's what it was when I started playing. I mean, TXO was the clan, you know.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was two things. I think it definitely was partially. I mean, I think we were already starting to be a clan that people wanted to join by virtue of the fact that we were probably like one of the only actual clans going, and definitely the only one that was backed up by like a website that had a pretty large community, and people were just interested in the website itself. But yeah, with Andy joining, I mean, that kind of undeniably, I feel like had us being like the best clan that was out there. And something that people really want to join. Nice. Sorry, I'm smiling now because my wife just came in and she is she's laughing at me talking about this.
Virtual communities that the most people wouldn't know about, but was a huge deal to a lot of people and still is.
Yeah, like I was saying to you earlier, because I started checking out the Discord. I think it was like maybe last night or the night before or something like that. Honestly, I'm happy doing this podcast. I'm just happy that people even remember TXO, that like all the hard work that went into it isn't totally for naught, you know, that we at least helped inspire something, or just if not inspired something, just were memorable.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. So how did the Tourney for the Homies tournament come up to be? That was the first real kind of, at least as far as I know, that was the first real big tournament that was like legit and recognized. And it was advertised on Neversoft's website. It was the message of the day on Tony Hawk 4 forever. How did that, what was the idea there? Was that your idea, or how did that even come to be?
Wait, don't answer yet. I apologize. I'm eating buffalo wings, so if you guys can't hear me.
Oh, good. I can't hear you, actually.
All right, good.
I can't hear you either.
That's a good job.
Just sitting there like, no. You got to go back and forth. No big deal.
So good. All right. So good. Whose idea was it? I don't know. Quite honestly, I don't know. So there were, there's like in connections with Neversoft, I feel like there was two people that like I had a connection with Neversoft that connected the website to Neversoft, and that was Andy after he joined up, and he obviously was talking to them a little bit more because he eventually started working there. But then there was Kurt, who was one of the QA testers there. He went by the name Sick, SIK, and I talked with him a lot. You know, he was good friends with Andy, and we all talked about stuff a lot, and so. I'm gonna guess that it actually came from Neversoft. Maybe they had like some meeting or something, and like threw it out as an idea to Kurt. I think Kurt became like kind of community liaison, and then that idea came out because I know that I didn't approach them and be like, "Hey, can we throw a tournament and you guys give like $1,000 grand prize or anything?" Like, I'm pretty sure that came from them and was their idea, and then we just kind of helped implement it and kind of shape it, you know.
It's interesting to me still that the they didn't like try to do that themselves or use their website as a means of promoting it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's cool actually in the sense that they did embrace the community, because I remember over the course of time there was a lot of mumbling and groaning and complaining that they didn't ever listen to the community, but I feel like they did to a degree, and that tournament is proof.
They paid attention. They knew what was going on with the community. Whether or not it kind of made business sense for them to, you know, in their eyes, for them to be paying attention to every little thing that people were bitching about. And forgive me for characterizing it like that, but sometimes it was that, kind of questionable. But definitely they wanted to do right by the community. But I feel like we all had to, at the time, realize that, you know, our community of people who played online and really tried to be the best was not. So I'm getting delivery of food. Was not necessarily the. It was not even close to probably the core of who was actually buying the game and like kind of making the money.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot too. That's an interesting thing to talk about at some point. It's not on our list of questions. I don't know if we have the time, but yeah, I definitely, the online community, played the game a certain way, but they had to know their bread and butter was the average Joe that picked up the game, played it for what it was worth, and then, moved on to the next thing.
Yeah,
so that was.
And a lot of people were hardcore, like playing the game without ever being in the online community. And I think a lot of that was that either they just didn't have access to the community at some point because you needed to get that, like, even if you kind of upfront didn't have like the special adapter before the official one came out, even you had to get the official adapter before you could actually play online, and that still was like an extra thing, and most people probably wouldn't have done that.
And even that wasn't as simple as like plug and play. So many people would have issues back in the day with that stuff. If everything wasn't perfect on like the ISP side, sometimes it would just be a complete disaster. Like a router issue, just fucking forget it. For like the normal person, it just wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
You had to have port forwarding turned on or whatever, right?
Yeah, it was a huge issue. Like for SOCOM, I know a lot of people had port forwarding issues.
Oh, right. Yeah. But I've heard of a lot of people who are really hard, loved it, but never knew about like the online community. And if you don't know about the online community, then you don't know about like this certain style of playing, getting like these crazy scores and all these little like glitches or whatnot that might affect what you're doing in the game, which are all things that people in the online community are caring about. But again, it maybe is not worth it, like paying a developer to research and then fix a bug that only matters to like a small percentage of your customers.
Yep. 100%. Yep. Well said. So we talked about that a little bit about Neversoft sponsoring the tournament. It's funny. I think when I was on the podcast, MistaFreeze and I were talking about $1,000 back then, especially with the age group that played it that we've talked about earlier in this episode. People had to have just lost their minds. $1,000, to a 15-year-old. I mean, that's just insane. That made your whole year,
Shopping trip. Just
totally
buy everything.
Yeah, it was big time.
All right. So in your relationship with Neversoft,
sorry, I just want to cut you off real quick.
Yeah, sure.
The second prize wasn't so bad either, and I found this. I don't remember it, but I remember that getting a signed skateboard from Tony Hawk himself was also a big prize in there. So it was like a few prizes besides just like $1,000 or Neversoft swag. I think first, second, and third all got different amounts of money along with other stuff.
Oh, nice.
So,
I
yeah.
don't think I knew that. It makes sense, but I don't think I knew that. Yeah,
So to first get the signed board plus the cash, or was it? It's like, what if you really like Tony Hawk and you got first, and you're like, oh shit, I want the signed board, but that goes to the second place.
It's
How shitty would
possible. You
that
know
be?
what? I'm gonna connect real quick, and we can keep talking. But I'm gonna connect real quick to my server where I pulled out a few things off of TXO, and I can probably verify what exactly people got.
Nice.
Anyways, sorry. So yeah, I'll look for that and stop you whenever I find that. But you can go
Sounds
ahead.
good. So you talked about your relationships with Sick and Andy, of course, at Neversoft. Did you have touch with very many other people there, or were those kind of the primary two that you knew and you communicated with on a consistent basis?
Honestly, I didn't. I wasn't like real like linked in to Neversoft and the culture and the people there. It was mostly through Sick that I would communicate.
That's so funny because my perception is just blowing my mind right now. Because my perception back then was like, oh,
Yeah.
he's like best friends with Joel Jewett. He like
Yeah.
knows Scott Pease. He's all these guys. That's
Yeah.
funny. So it was just Kurt for the most part. I shouldn't say just Kurt. That's nice.
Oh yeah, man. So I have, you know what? I don't have the Turning for the Homies 1, but I found a document that told me who won Turning for the Homies 2, all the players who won and what they got. So I think, and maybe I was mixing these up about the $1,000. So like first place was Jin. I think it was Jinzo or something. For Turning for the Homies 2, and he got the autographed deck. He got a bunch of Quicksilver gear, hoodie, shirt, cap, and he got a bunch of stuff with like Thug on it. Beanie t-shirt. He got a Dalek t-shirt. That's another thing. And he got a Dalek print. Oh man, that's probably worth some money now. And various Thug stuff. Dalek, sorry, just mentioning him. Dalek was a street artist that I had done a website for also, who I got involved in this as far as just giving away some swag just for some extra prizes.
And Dalek stuff actually ended up in this game, right? Space Monkeys?
It did, yeah. So, yep. So I was, kind of promoting the idea of getting some more authentic graffiti into the game. So yeah, I ended up getting some Dalek stuff in there. They're the Space Monkeys. I don't know if they're in whatever version that you're playing here.
They are. I'll
okay,
go there. Cool. I know where they are.
So there are some Dalek pieces in here. He's also still an active artist. Oh, and like Shepard Fairey, I just saw the Obey Giant over there.
Yeah.
He just rolled by. I assume that came from the same place because the guy I was talking to about that is kind of works with him. And then we got some Denied stickers in there as well.
There's your Space Monkeys.
Oh yeah, man. That's cool. I didn't even realize you had like a bunch.
Yeah, it's.
I actually have each of those prints in real life. That's
nice.
Awesome.
There you go. They're also, I think there are stickers in game in Thug 2, and then there's also a default graffiti texture that's Space Monkeys in Thug 2. Yeah,
that's really nice, man. Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, he's a really well-known street artist, and I guess came from being a graffiti artist, but now does a lot of legal art. Yeah, it's really good stuff.
He does what kind of art
now? Street art.
Oh,
so I don't know if most people know the difference between street art and graffiti. Generally, the big difference is that graffiti is illegal, and street art tends to be legal artwork that's done around on walls. So there's quite a community of really good street artists around the world, of which Dalek is one of them, that does large size murals, big walls and whatnot, and also drops prints. I'm a big collector of a lot of that style of art.
So making money doing this, or just whatever? Yeah,
for sure. Making big money, man. I mean, you've heard, I don't know. I always assume. Of course, people have heard of Banksy, right? So Banksy's one of those people.
Yeah.
He's probably the most well known. Then there's Shepard Fairey, who does all the Obey Giant clothing line. I think he did the Obama poster from back in the day, the iconic Obama poster. So he's big. There's a lot of other large names that I feel like nobody's going to know what I'm talking about. But yeah, Dalek also, he does a lot of prints and a lot of art on walls. Really nice. And yeah, people make pretty decent money. They make careers out of this. For sure.
Crazy.
But I know that's not what we're here to talk about. But
We're here
No,
to talk about whatever after
there it
a
is.
little
I
bit
knew
here.
there was. I knew there was a giant banner.
mhm.
I'm coming up to it now. Oh, and I fell. It's cool. It's up here. Anyway, okay.
Yep.
So let's see. You got to go to E3 actually, Benson. Did you go multiple times, and how did that come to be? Was that like a straight invite from Neversoft, or what? What was the whole deal
Yeah,
with
I don't
E3?
remember. I think that what happened was that they were releasing. I want to say it was releasing Thug, and so they invited me as like to like come check it out, for the community and like speak to it and be able to like kind of take pictures and do like a review. I think that I did do like a review of it, like an article on the site. And so yeah, so that's what they had me in there for. Again, I didn't go multiple times. I went that one time, but it was pretty badass. I was really excited about it. I got a credential from them that said like I forget. That said that I was part of Neversoft or something like that, like a lanyard, which is pretty awesome. Because I was a big fanboy on all this as well. In no way would I say that I was like part of the game company or part of like real into that group of people. But yeah, so I got to go to E3, got to check out all the games, brought a friend with me. And yeah, I just hung out. I think I went on a trip to the studio and met everybody there. Sat through some briefing on the new game, and just hung out in LA with Kurt and Andy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you talked about earlier. You talked about the idea of the hosted sites on TXO, and what was the idea there? Was that your idea? Was that just certain people being like, "Hey, I have this idea that we could make TXO better and make the website, more enhanced," or was that kind of your brainchild to be like, "Hey, there's so many different aspects to the community, like you said earlier, create a park and videos and screenshots for photo shoots, and glitches, and what was kind of the idea there, and whose was it really?"
So I'm gonna say I don't remember how necessarily it came. If it was like, hey, let's make a hosted site, or if I was like, hey, let's make a hosted site. I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna digress for a moment. Me making the website, like I was like always into computers and online with computers and just trying to figure out at that point. I think I went to school for graphic design, started getting into like web design and wanting to like code websites and whatnot. I worked for a website at that point, and I just wanted to learn better how to actually learn a programming language and make websites, with like HTML, CSS. The coding language that I used was Cold Fusion, unfortunately, because that's the language that the website that I worked for at the time used. So I kind of was like dual tracking and dual purposing in that I was like making this Tony Hawk website, but I was also learning some more about the back end of the website that I was actually working for and making money from. So I used Cold Fusion, and really the website was just a big like hobby project to learn coding in large part. So it just happened to blow up the way it did. And to that point, when we came to hosted sites, I really created this hosted sites as like just more chance to make other websites. I think it was more chance to make other websites, kind of extrapolate upon like the database that I had collected, and was wanting to add to for TXO. And like in a lot of ways, I created the hosted sites also just to give people their own space to like have ownership and add content on TXO. So TXO, of course, was the parent site, which, if I remember right, we had a bunch of articles. We had like some high score lists because basically I got this forum and then kind of expanded the profiles of different users so that they could add in scores for different levels and all kinds of different stats, and then figured out how I could then pull that information out of a database and make these pages, these aggregate pages, which I thought was really cool at the time. So I think I did that in a lot of site. And then, yeah, just made these separate sites where I could just pull more information from the database, databases that I would create for them. and whether it was for, let's say it was the glitch vault, which was like glitching hosted site. So I could like let them create glitch pages, which would actually show images for different levels, for specific glitches on different levels and in different games, and then be able to pull all that information up to the homepage and be like, hey, we have like 100 glitches in Los Angeles on THP3 or something like that, and then do that for every level. Anyways, I know I'm kind of babbling here, but it's again, making these sites was in a lot or big way, like kind of a side project for me, where I was just learning how to code and really enjoyed doing it, and then wanting to get people the easiest way that they could to add content to the site, so that we would have several people that were actually content that people were interested in onto TXO.
Nice. Yeah, it was one of the things that I appreciated because I got involved with the creative. I got involved with the cap review site, one of the hosted sites, pretty early, and so it was really nice to be able to have kind of our own identity, but yet still kind of be part of the parent corporation of TXO.
Right. Yeah, and I think I want to say there were like 6 different hosted sites at some point. Like some went up and down, depended on how involved in the community people were, how much they stayed involved in the community. But
right.
Yeah.
Side note, and my cohorts will probably laugh at me for saying this, but Glitchvolt is actually up. Glitchvolt.com takes you to the hosted site.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, you were kind enough to give up the code, Benson, on that, and some folks meticulously restored the images and so forth. So if anybody's interested, Glitchvolt is up and available.
That's awesome. That worked out as a good plug.
How could I not? It was a good segue,
Yeah, for sure.
The nerd in me wants to know, and this is an off the cuff question, so nobody kill me. But if you had it to do over again, what would you write the sites in now?
PHP.
Okay.
I mean, not that I know PHP now, but I mean PHP's really stuck around. Whereas Cold Fusion was just kind of wouldn't call it a shitty language, just wasn't as I'm not sure what to say. As like PHP is like nerding out a little bit. PHP is like an object-oriented language. You're able to do a little bit more with it. Whereas Cold Fusion was like trying to be simple to do. So it was like a tag-based language. So it was kind of like HTML in that way. So it just felt a little friendlier to people who, like myself, who really knew HTML but didn't kind of back-end languages that well.
Right.
So yeah, nice. I would definitely do PHP, but otherwise everything else, it's just standard languages.
Okay. So let's talk about this just because it's the elephant in the room, because it's been talked about on a couple of other podcasts. And I actually think it's not even a big deal anymore, but it's come up. So I figured we might as well bring it up. The I2 tournament has been brought up. It's been talked about. Several of the former guests mentioned it. Yeah. Do you have anything you wanted to add what happened during that time? Because really back then it was a pretty big deal because it was kind of this like stake in the ground where the kind of some of the hardcore players in the community ended up kind of going 2 separate ways, being TXO and TLT. Do you any thoughts there? What would you contribute to that conversation?
Gosh, let's see. So let me start off by saying not great over this time period because it was a while ago. There's a lot of details I don't remember. So this is one of them. I don't really remember that well. I have been just, in getting ready and understanding what this podcast is and getting ready to be on it. Listened to a couple episodes, one of which, of course, was Mike's.
Yeah.
Cool. Shout out to Mike. He's a good guy. And listen to him and him talk, and was like, oh man, like I always felt like I was a little bit of an ass during the days. Like I don't think, maybe not like that bad, but I was just always a little bit harsh or to the point in things I would say to people. So I was like, oh man, it was probably something that I did that got Mike to split off. And then I was relieved when I actually heard, I guess, Mike explain it. And then say that basically he had asked me, I guess, to back him up on the incident that happened there. And that I had said, hey, I just don't want to get involved. I feel like that was probably the right thing for me to say at the time. And that it wasn't so much about me being a jerk. But I do feel also that, like I said, I think I was a little bit harsh in what I would say to people sometimes. And I know with Mike, he was working real hard in the line tub, and I was trying to, as part of TXO, like my vision of TXO was that it would not for kind of high-end players and be like a really cool community, but also visually, like the branding of it would be, really cool graphics as much as I could do back then, well styled, also with like good programming details. So I think I was on him a bit about kind of what he was doing when he was working on, like, I think creating a new style for the line tub and whatnot. So I know that we had some discussions then that didn't always go so great. So I don't know if that was part of it also, maybe, and Mike was just being super nice or didn't remember that it was just all about I2. But yeah. So I don't know if that was at all part of it. Sorry, Mike. But yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny. I've racked my brain back to that time, and I remember, some discussions and stuff blowing up on the forums, and it seems like there was some arguing, but I guess I didn't realize how big of a deal it was until I don't remember, Mike might have made a forum post about it or something, and basically made it, it was maybe in the mods or admins section, so the general public wouldn't have seen it.
Oh, yeah.
But it was like, hey, you either need to fix this or I'm out of here. I don't know exactly, but like I said, now it's, like I said, it's no big deal now. I think everybody's well past it. I would hope. So anyway,
I mean, when you're in the moment, it's always a thing.
Totally.
It's a thing. And there was a lot of drama that happened for a lot of different reasons with TXO. But I think I like to think it was just like, communities with passionate people, those kind of things just happen.
Totally. Yeah, that's well said. Cool. So when did your interest in the series as a whole start to kind of wane?
Sorry. So I told you, Doden, for, but anybody watching, my wife's in the background just like making fun of me for being a nerd.
I love it.
Happens to me all the time, don't worry.
When did my interest start to wane? So all right, so let me get back on track. So I think around Thug, I don't remember exactly why, but I feel like Thug wasn't the most exciting for me at the time. As far as the site goes, I think that was pretty well linked. And the site was a lot of work, and it just kept getting bigger. And I think at one point we had like more than like 10,000 like users going on that were on the site, and there was a lot of active people. So the forums were a lot of work, like my forums, especially from a bunch of like 12 to 15-year-olds.
Oh my gosh!
Like trying to
I remember.
Yeah, I always did my best in the forums to kind of be even-handed and try to make sure that people weren't like, I don't know, like spewing racist stuff or just being like outright asses to other people. So it felt like there was a lot of babysitting going on the site. Often. And then there was also just, at one point, there's a lot of people. I don't know if it was a lot of people or just one people, but it seemed like because TXO was large and because we probably had, at some point, some of us, maybe it was just me, I don't know, had a little bit of an attitude that people wanted to mess with the site and like try to like hack it, try to like bring something down, just like do whatever they could to like mess with it. And so I know I spent a lot of time coding and trying to learn to code to like counteract some of that stuff that people were doing. And it was just exhausting. Like I got in this as a video game to like play and have fun. It was cool. I met some other cool people, and we like had like a cool place to talk and like spread some information about the game and get other people to really learn how to play the game a little bit better. But I really didn't get into it to be like fighting with people, like moderating so much, trying to learn how to get people to stop trying to hack the site, and I don't know. So all that drama kind of in a big way led to me just not wanting to deal with it anymore. That, and just honestly just trying to focus more on life and work and different things.
So not to sidetrack too much, but since you're talking about the website, was it ever monetized?
No.
No, so it's always just.
I mean, there at some point. I mean, we tried to, like at some point, I think I threw some ads on it, and that was real, less than $100 out of that. At one point, like the whole idea of was like an idea for trying to monetize it, where we'd like created this like video game clothing company. It was really just t-shirt company. Had a few t-shirt designs, and just thought we'd be able to sell some stuff to the community and outside, and it would be kind of cool. Got Andy to be a part of that, and like made a t-shirt with his character and whatnot. But there wasn't much that happened. I'm pretty positive we did not sell more monetarily than we actually spent just making up inventory.
Did you sell to like the hundreds or the thousands, or is it like double digits, or what?
I'd say less than 100.
Less than 100. Damn it! I should have got one.
Less than 100. We had a whole bunch. There's a whole bunch of inventory. I know when Sick and I finally gave up on it, because it was Sick that really went with me. I'm pretty sure he got most of the inventory. And I was just like, whatever, man. Let's just be done at that point. So, but like as far as monetizing nah. It's not like anybody paid me to do it. It's not like I was in like big cahoots with like Neversoft to like kind of help the online community. It was just something that I did as a passion. And honestly, it ended up being a lot of money, is that, and this will make sense for anybody who has tried to host a website before. Like I started the website out on like shared hosting. I think on like DreamHost or something like that. I did it on shared hosting, and you have to pay for the amount of bandwidth you get, especially then. So I think I was paying at some point for like a large amount of bandwidth, because I just more and more people kept joining, and then I kept wanting to add like images, and I think we started adding videos and hosting videos, and as people would download them, I mean, that cost money. But the website just kept getting bigger with people joining, especially after Neversoft was like advertising on their online server and whatnot. So I eventually had to learn, and this is not something I knew how to do. I just kind of learned all this stuff as I went. Had to figure out how to move it over to an actual server, like a 1U server, and co-locate that at a hosting facility. So what that means for anybody who's not familiar is basically I bought a computer just to host the website that fit within a 1U space. It's basically like a thin little, like if you ever heard of like blades or whatever, it's like a one blade computer that would fit in a rack mount in a hosting facility, which is like a big warehouse full of computers co-located. I think it was down in Ashburn, Virginia. So I had to pay for the computer itself. I had to figure out how to set the web hosting software, so IIS. It was like, because it was all on Windows. The server software, which was SQL Server. Hell if I knew how to actually run all that, but I figured it out. And then I had to get Cold Fusion server, like pay for that software and to actually run it. And then like figure out how to get all those to work together, and then host the website there, pay for a certain amount of bandwidth. And every once in a while drive like an hour out to the hosting facility to like do maintenance on the server itself, like physically. It was a lot that went into it. There's a lot that went into it, and not insignificant amount of money that went into it. But I did it as a passion. It is a passion and a project for myself, just to figure out how to do this stuff, which honestly has paid benefits. Now I'm like in that industry as my like full-time job. But at the time it was a lot. It was a lot of time and a decent amount of money that went in. So all the more when people were just trying to like mess with the site, or like being, I don't want to say, just like being pains in the butt, it just made me more and more just like be like, hey, I just don't want to do this anymore. So then eventually pulled it down.
How much of that stuff is still relevant? In terms of like, if someone's going to start a website, like right now, I just use WordPress. I go to GoDaddy, I set up WordPress, it takes like 5 minutes, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You back in the day, I mean, you had to code a lot of that stuff. How much is that still is relevant in today's industry? I
mean, knowing that stuff, like how it all works, I mean, it's relevant in that sense. The only thing that really doesn't get used wise these days is Cold Fusion. That is a software died along with Macromedia and Adobe's support of that kind of software when Flash died too. And not that Flash was a thing that we used, but it's just part of that whole suite of like Macromedia products that Adobe had bought. Anyways, don't want to geek out too much on that. But I mean, otherwise, all the knowledge, the whole idea. So sounds like you use like a hosted server to like run a WordPress site on, which is cool. But you know, it's still relevant if you need to do something a little bit bigger. You need to, or you could buy a computer or run your own server, and then need to run all the different software. But the thing is, these days you can just like get AWS and like set up all that same stuff, and have like a virtual server, Amazon Web Services, and not have to mess with fully co-locating by yourself, because there's a lot of downsides to co-locating one single computer that has no like failover and whatnot.
Right.
But again, sorry, I know this is not the topic of this of this podcast, but yeah.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's just crazy how much easier it is nowadays. You know.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Using like Dreamweaver and looking at all the coding that Dreamweaver would automatically do from the visual interface to the coding interface, I almost shit my pants. It's like there's no way I'm gonna ever learn all that coding. Yeah, and that was only like a small aspect of it. That was just a website part of it. That wasn't all the back end stuff. So
exactly, Dreamweaver's it's just the HTML and CSS part, probably some JavaScript too.
Yeah, some Java too. Yeah, for sure.
Fun fact: the server's name was Carl.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'd always have these long-standing discussions about, Carl's acting up again, and Carl became almost a curse word amongst the mods and so forth. So I'll never forget the name Carl.
Yeah, definitely Carl. Goddamn Carl.
I love it. Okay, so what led to your decision? Well, it sounds like I don't even know if I need to ask this. I think it's pretty clear after what you just said. But what was kind of the nail in the coffin? Why did you finally decide, okay, it's time for this thing to close down?
I mean, honestly, it was just like me, again, like I said, a big part of it was just not wanting to deal with it. And it wasn't just not wanting to deal with people that were trying to mess with it, but a lot of it was just not wanting to deal with like the amount of time that it took to deal with anything going wrong. Like you mentioned, Dode, like we would have Carl having issues all the time, and then I would have to like debug that or figure out like what's going on. And again, it's like a whole bunch of different layers of figuring out what's going on. And like someone who was ultimately just like a noob at like setting up a server. So it was like the computer itself, the hardware, then like the IIS, the Windows server, the web server, the SQL server, the Cold Fusion server, the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, whatever. It could be all a number of things I would just have to figure out. And there really didn't have anybody that was helping me with that too much. I think some people, and I don't remember exactly who, like tried to help like with coding on maybe the Cold Fusion, the HTML and CSS side. And like that was also well, I was going to say that was a big reason why I had these hosted sites, to have other people work on them, which they did. But in large part, I also did work on the hosted sites too. So it was just a lot going on, and with little technical support. You know, like of course we had a lot of mods and a lot of people a lot with like the forums and like dealing with that and some of the like front end stuff. But there was only so much that people, again, kind of a younger generation of people were able to do or to do to help me out.
Yeah, for sure. I tried to help out as much as I could, but I didn't know the database aspect of it. I remember back then I used to always feel bad. I got to the point where I was just like, I know Benson just does not want to go deal with Carl right now. So we tried to keep it minimum. Yeah,
like I said, it was like where I was living at the time was in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Shout out to Maryland, anybody who's from there. And then would have to drive out to Ashburn, Virginia, which is a good like hour's drive, like out into the country to go to the server farms.
Right.
Yeah.
So you talked about denied clothing a little bit and kind of an idea to monetize it and whatever. Was that kind of a reaction to, because I remember the idea there was it was not gonna, it wasn't supposed to just be strictly focused on THPS, but the team that you asked to put together there, you try to include, people that were good at, various games. What was that kind of your idea, to just kind of get away, branch out to see if you could get, something else revitalized or ramped up kind of in the same vein? What was kind of the whole concept there?
Yeah, I think so. I think what you're saying makes is true. That we were trying to integrate other games, not have it just be THPS focused. I think it was really just trying to incorporate a larger audience, right? Get at a larger audience because THPS can only you can only do so much with that as far as trying to sell clothing. Like it would be a small market that would be saturated real quick. So yeah, I know that SOCOM was one that I used to play a lot, and also was just into talking to people on. I did forget if there were any other games might have been big as far as players. Oh, SOCOM, and then I know Splinter Cell was one that I was really big into back in the day.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Splinter Cell.
Splinter Cell with Narkill all the time. Yeah, that was great.
So there's specific players you're going to do clothing for. What were some of the SOCOM ones? I know a lot of the listeners played SOCOM back in the day.
The only person I can remember was PS, and that was Bungle. Bungle was a big SOCOM player, and I know he had another clan also, and he's really good. So I'm pretty sure we had him in there. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Is he still contactable? I was going to try getting him on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm buddies with him.
Cool.
Let me know. I can hook it up.
For sure.
I'm sure he'd do it. He now plays Destiny 2. Huge Destiny guy. That's all he plays. No. I tried to drag him on here. We had the creator review. We had our own little team for that hosted site, and I got a few of them together. In fact, as late as like a week and a half ago. Anyway, it's not about me this time, but anyway, yeah, I'm into contact with Bungle, and he's super, super cool still.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. So then fast forward a few years, and we kind of start hanging out, a few of us. I think Andy started a Facebook group that was private or something. You might remember better than I, Benson, but we started kind of talking, and then THPS HD was ready to come out, and we're like, should we start a website? Should we not? Should we see if we could bring it back?
Yeah.
What was when did you realize, I don't even know if I can answer this question but for you, when did you realize that HD was not going to revitalize the series, and maybe even trying to revamp the site was maybe I don't know if not a good idea is the right word, but I think you kind of know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I don't remember. Sorry, this is always my question, or always my answer. Start with that. I don't remember exactly, but I just remember that HD was not well received by the community, and so it didn't seem like people were going to be playing it a ton, I guess. And I think even our own people didn't necessarily want to play it that often. And so I don't know, it just seemed like the excitement level was not there. And again, the level of work and time and effort to actually just like work on the website, it was like exciting at the time when we like started to try to bring it back, and like that would be like cool, and we would be like hopefully relive some glory days as like an on the game. But I don't know, it just didn't work out. And again, I think it was people's desire to participate with the game. I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, or tell me if I remember this correctly, that the game just didn't turn out as well as we were hoping.
Oh, 100. That's an understatement.
No, it's complete donkey balls. Yeah,
it was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really
yeah.
bad.
Probably the biggest component of why that was so bad was a lot of reasons, but the largest one that I can think of is the online component was just broken. You couldn't play that game online. Everybody spawned in the same place when a game would start, and so collisions were automatically on, and you couldn't turn them off. So everybody would instantly fall over as soon as you launched a game. There was
people that just like randomly streamed the game. I didn't actually play because I can't do it, but like I saw people jumping out of the level, like not intentionally, not even glitchers, just random people streaming the game, just jumping out of the level, just doing all sorts of shit. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate too. Yeah,
totally unfortunate, because there was a lot of excitement and hype going into that for sure.
Yeah, I remember that for sure. We had a lot of high hopes for it.
But, for sure. Did you follow 5 at all? Totally separate question, but did you follow the launch of 5 or anything about it?
5 come after HD, I guess.
It did, yeah.
No, I didn't. Yeah.
That was really a disaster.
Yeah, it was slightly better, but not. It yeah.
The thing I can give 5 is at least it had some speed to it from what I saw, but it was still just there. I don't know.
There was a couple of good ideas in 5 that weren't fully realized, and that's a whole other topic. But some of the levels were okay for level design wise.
I think
they weren't
some of those
amazing.
to Thug Pro, right?
Yeah, there's a few. Yeah. So, okay, cool. So you talked about that you know Narkill still. Anybody else? I mean, you and I have stayed in touch here and there over the years. Anybody else from the old community that maybe you're still friends with or you talk to on a regular basis?
Nobody that I talk to on a regular basis. Narkill I used to hang out with. We would. He lives in Pittsburgh. We just had like a rivalry going on between the Capitals and the Penguins. So
nice.
For anybody who doesn't know hockey, I mean, we met up in the playoffs a few times. And I would always bet him and be like, oh, like whoever wins, like has to buy tickets for the other person next season, then have to go like watch a game between the two in the other person's city. So I lost that a few times. Went to Pittsburgh a few times. Capitals don't have a good history against Penguins, but yeah. Besides him, so Will actually probably is the last person that I've seen.
One that was in Ass Clan.
I don't know that. I feel like Doe can probably.
He won a tournament, a pretty big tournament.
Yeah, he was the first place on 24-3, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the same.
He won 3.
Yeah.
And he got the invite to TXO as a result.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know he still played even after that. I haven't seen that guy in years.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's actually working for the Minnesota Twins.
Oh, really?
What?
Yeah, so he's like, he lives in Minnesota now. He's from Puerto Rico, but he lives in Minnesota. I think he's like, I don't know what it is. It's something with like game. I don't know.
Can you get me a high-paying job? Because I'm in Minnesota.
He might be able to. I mean, talk to him. He works for the Twins. I saw his Instagram the other day. It was him like taking batting practice in the Twin Stadium.
I mean, if he works for a sports team, they have like infinite money, don't they? So yeah.
Yeah, especially baseball teams. Yeah. So no, he's pretty good. So I hung out with him in Puerto Rico actually a few years ago.
Oh, that's right. I think you posted pictures of that visit or something. Yeah. Oh gosh.
He lived in Ponce down there, and then
Puerto Rico. Holy crap.
That's crazy. And we met up in DC also because his. I don't know if it's just his dad or his dad and him. Oh no, he's a big Cowboys fan. I think his dad's a big Redskins fan. And that's also another big rivalry. And so they came for a Cowboys-Redskins game in like December or January or something. So we met up and had dinner with his dad and whatnot. We hung out at a Puerto Rican restaurant here in D.C. And then they went to a game the next day.
Damn.
Is there anybody else that you met IRL?
Yeah, so I was just about to ask, who you all met in real life?
So I really was like cool with Fake Shady.
Yeah.
He also, I think, was an early player. Fake Shady's awesome. I think he's like too cool to be playing video games now. But, he lived like really close to me. He lived in the same county in Maryland that I did.
Was he roughly the same age?
No, he's younger. Like everybody was younger. I feel like there's nobody
except me, except for me and Bungle.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, I can't think of anybody else that was. I think maybe Anna was closer. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just throwing out a bunch of like old names, but I'm sure Dode knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who else did I meet? I don't know. There's a couple of people, I'm sure. Of course, I met Andy. Met Sick. That's all I can think of right now, though.
Did you ever meet Pants in a Can or Bunker King? I know that they were. Do you remember the names?
Quite honestly, from your podcast.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious. I've been trying to. I mean, I got a hold of Bunker King. I want to get a hold of Pants. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Like listening to your podcast, I feel like I learned a lot on the website by listening to your podcast. A lot of shit I didn't remember. Like definitely.
That's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. When's the last time you actually played THPS?
Like I said, like probably Probably whenever we were putting up that site. So
10 years ago.
HD, yeah.
For
I'd call it
HD.
10 years. Yeah. Yeah.
When did HD come out? I don't even remember. It doesn't matter.
I
Somebody
kinda-
in chat will tell me, I'm sure.
Yeah, I kind of stopped playing video games. It was a tough call, but I just found that I couldn't get myself too into it in games these days. I feel like you need to play it a fair amount to get good enough that the game is fun. So I just had a hard time ever finding the time to do that. So I sold my PS4 like I think a year ago. I finally just, after it's sitting around collecting dust for a while,
I
I
gotta
just
ask, before you sold your PS4, did you play The Last of Us?
is that a game?
Yeah. It is a game, yes.
You don't even read gaming blogs or
Yeah, you
anything
don't get any
anymore.
gaming blogs.
not at all.
Oh, man.
No, the only things I played, I tried to play the God of War. Like I think there was a remake. No, I played the remake. I think there was the brand new one that came out. I tried to play. I was always into the God of War franchise.
Yeah, great
I was
series.
into Splinter Cell, but they stopped making that.
Right.
I feel like that used the same game engine as God of War or something. No, as I don't even remember.
Look, do you like movies?
Yeah, like
Are you
movies.
a
Okay.
movie guy? Look, get there's a streaming service called like PS Now, and it has The Last of Us on there. It is. I don't play many games either. I don't have the attention span or the time to invest in them unless I'm just playing like something I can quick get in and out of.
Yeah.
But dude, The Last of Us, the storyline, the voice acting, the graphics, and the atmosphere is fucking amazing. You gotta play it, dude. Out of all the games I can recommend, you gotta fucking play it. Just make time for it.
Unfortunately, like I was saying, I sold PS4. So
I know. Well, so you can play PS Now on the PC, and I think it might even work for Mac because it's a streaming service.
Yeah, like we said, I'm not a. I gave up on PC a while ago. I was just tired of it. It's not PC necessarily, but Windows. I can't stand Windows.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
I just gave up on Windows, Microsoft.
Well, it doesn't help when half the stuff doesn't work.
Yeah,
that's one thing Apple's got going for it is that everything works.
Yeah, I got a new job exactly, and that's why I kind of Apple's kind of losing that rep a little bit, but yeah, I just got a new job a couple months ago and to use all Microsoft Office stuff, and I can't stand it. I feel like half the time like apps stop working. I'm like, what the hell? Why'd this stop working? Why did I not getting like new data? And then I just reboot it, and I have to reboot apps like pretty constantly, and then it'll just start working. I don't know what's wrong with them. But anyways, yeah.
So you're telling us that you don't like Windows?
Yeah, correct. Right. Windows, Microsoft, anything Microsoft, yeah, just not into it.
That's so funny. Have you ever played what I'm playing? Have you ever played Thug Pro?
I'm gonna guess no. I feel like I remember this level though.
This is from 4. So Thug Pro is a mod.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay. Yeah, it's based on the Tony Hawk's Underground 2 engine. So it's got all the mechanics, but the development team has taken. So if you look at my start menu, you're going to be able to see. You'll be able to see we've got all the levels from 3, 4. We've got most of them from 2, most of them from 1. And then all of them from Thug 1, all of them from Underground 2, most from American Wasteland, a couple from Project 8, and a couple, and then one from Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure. But anyway, it's an amazing mod. If you ever do get back into THPS, you gotta check it out. It's PC and you can use full controller. I'm playing on DualShock 4 right now, so it feels just like I'm playing wirelessly, and there's a Mac install for it too. My good buddy Tyler, shout out to Tyler Lasagna for putting together the Mac tutorial. It's really easy to do, but it's fun. If you ever want to get the THPS fix, and then it's got online, obviously, because we're playing them.
Yeah, I might try to see how that works in the Mac and see what's up.
Yeah, it's fun. It's really fun.
I think I sent you a link to it. It's it's like a 20-minute video or something on YouTube. So just step by step.
Yeah, you did. It was just late at night, and I was just like, I better
Yeah, for sure.
Can't see my menus. Okay. All right. So then the last question that I had on my list is there anything that you see that could happen with series? Obviously, I don't know if you knew this or not, but the license that Tony Hawk himself had with Activision is up, and they didn't renew.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah. So Tony Hawk made a mobile game. It's called Tony Hawk Skate Jam. It's I don't love it, if I'm being completely honest. If you're gonna play an Epic or if you're gonna play a mobile skate game, I much prefer Epic Skater, and that's not because I'm trying to be an Andy fanboy because he worked on that game, but it's just that one's approachable. It's fun. It's really, it's a quick in and out type game, where Skate Jam is the controls are a little hard. And anyway, but yeah, so is there anything that you think that could, be like, oh, okay, we could revitalize TXO, or is it just, hey, awesome time, awesome period, at least for the most part, good fond memories, and best to probably leave it alone?
Yeah. If if I retire or something, then maybe I'll have some extra time to be doing
time.
That.
Got it.
Yeah, it's time. I mean, these days, definitely a lot more work focused. I got married since then. I had a new son. He's 8 months old.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks. So he takes up a little bit of time.
How long were you married before you had kids?
What's that?
How long were you married before you had the kid?
I think it was 3 years. Yeah, my wife's saying 3 years. But yeah, but again, I'm 41 years old, so I waited a while to have a kid, so kind of late to the game. But yeah, it's great. He's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, so time. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's a big thing. And quite honestly, I don't know. I'm someone who's been interested in a lot of different things. Like, I feel like this, like, just the Tony Hawk community is, what are we looking at? Oh yeah. So here, she handed me a picture. This is him. That's the little guy.
Nice.
What's his name?
Alexander. He's named after Alexander Ovechkin, capital.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know how much that means to you guys, but we just won a Stanley Cup. What was it, 2 years ago? Yeah. But yeah, so I was saying I've been involved in a few different communities over my time. I don't know. I'm just always interested in stuff, different things. So before it was like when I was young, it was like an online art community. Then it was like a DJ community, and then it was this Tony Hawk community. Then I started doing painting on my own. So part of like me talking about that stuff a little bit passionately. So like kind of that painting and like street art community.
Meme bots.
Yeah. So I have a website about.
You an Alex Gray fan?
Who?
Alex Gray, the guy that does the artwork for Tool.
No, I'm not familiar. Mostly I follow and collect art, people who do art on walls.
Since you liked art, he's he's big DMT guy. So
okay.
Yeah, some trippy artwork, let's say the least, like out of body experience type artwork. Pretty weird shit, but.
Yeah, you should link me to that, so I'll check it out.
Yeah, I'll send you a link at the podcast for sure.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I always find something different to get into, and right now it really is just kind of hard with like the work stuff. And that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. Sometimes people ask me how I find time for it. My kids are a little older now. I didn't play, and I wasn't in the community hardly at all when my kids were your son's age. I can tell you, it's a lot of work, especially because you're trying to help, and they need a lot of attention then. So
yeah, for sure, it's hard to find time. Definitely hard to find time, and I try to go to bed early these days. So the time I would have is like late at night, but yeah, wouldn't work out for me.
Totally. That's it for me. Thanks for answering those questions, MistaFreeze. I'll turn it back over to you.
This is almost perfect. You said you had about 2 hours, so that leaves about 15 minutes of Q&A.
Yep.
But I can't read the Twitch chat, so I'm going to rely on TheDodeman.
Sure. Does anybody have any? Okay. So we got a question from THPS4, who I know who that is, but I won't say their name.
We all know who it is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah. So, whoa, he's just rapid fire. Okay, so first is how much involvement did you have in the recruitment of the TXO clan members, and do you remember about how influential members like Magic Summer, Draco, and KSK? Do you even remember their names? You have to remember Draco. Come on now.
I remember the names for sure. Exactly, like interactions and whatnot. A little bit foggier about to the clan. I don't know how much I did recruitment. I'm sure I do a lot of talking to people and trying to convince on different things. So I'm sure I was definitely part of it. But I feel like someone else who was a better player probably had more influence on getting them into the actual clan. I could be wrong though, and I'm worried now that you're saying that you know who this is, but you want to say that THPS4 is somebody who actually knows the answers and check me on it afterwards.
He probably won't care if I say it's Freddie. Freddie's a longtime player, good King of the Hill player. Okay. He's actually part of the crew that we're with at THPSX, or I'm with at THPSX, I should say.
Gotcha. Okay. All right,
yeah.
Freddie. So yeah, I can read the questions. Idea behind TXA. Nice. Who was behind it? How it ended. I don't remember if there was some kind of thing with how it ended. We had TXO. We were trying to be a big. We were trying to be like exclusive group, and so TXA was definitely like was in order to allow other people to kind of at least be associated with TXO, but not really vouching for them as far as being part of TXO. I believe that's how it went. That's how it went.
It wasn't based on skill. It was based on, just being well known in the community and contributing to it and so forth.
Yeah, because there were a lot of cool people that were, real hardcore in the community, helping out a ton with the website and just in general played a lot. It's not like we, like TXO, just played with other TXO members. There were a lot of cool people that we were friends with. So yeah, I could totally see that. And I think I heard on one podcast that Narkill was part of TXA first, which is seems kind of crazy because he's pretty awesome. But yeah, I know a lot of good people, and I really appreciate that we had so many people that wanted to be part of TXO or TXA or just the community in general. Surviving denied clothing new stock. Sick about it. I'm pretty sure I have like a shirt or two. Though I will say, because I was looking at this for this podcast, I have all the original design files. So ultimately, if something ever needs to be made, definitely do that. It's just a matter of time and figuring out. But I mean, I don't think it's a big deal to pump something out with like a logo on it.
I want
the one with the nose manual and the sun hat.
Yeah, I definitely have that. I actually saw that just, I think, the other day. I looked and saw that. So I have the PSD and the original TIFF file for it.
I want it. Count me in. If you make that design, I'm ordering it.
Okay. Yep. All right, will do.
Yeah, I have the drip logo. I still have them.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I forgot. We made at least 3 different shirts?
I think so. Sounds about right.
I'll remember the one because it's the best one.
Shout out to Andy. That was totally Andy's silhouette on there.
Yeah, totally.
I should have ordered it. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah, I mean the whole could have stayed alive. Yeah. Anything else?
There's one that Freddie said. He said, "Would you consider hosting a read-only archive of ThugX Online forums for historical and informational purposes for the current community?"
So I have some unfortunate news on that. I went back looking as part of this, and it seems like the VM that I had of TXO, I'm not sure what happened, but it's telling me that it's 0 bytes right now. So I'm not sure what happened. I'll keep looking through my archives. I have a server set up where I keep a lot of stuff, and I thought I had it all backed up because I know Dode for you actually went back in, booted it up, and pulled out all the information from CAR.
Yeah.
And I pulled out a bunch of other, like all the data, the CFM files and like kind of like all the HTML files and CSS and whatnot from the website, but the actual database was in that VM, and I'm not sure that I have that somewhere. So I don't know. We'll have to see. As far as hosting it, I would have thought as of right now, I can't find where it is. So unfortunately, not able to do that.
I have all the files for car except the database.
Yeah, that's an important piece right there.
Yeah, I was looking the other day because I don't know, somebody asked me that same question, and I'm like, well, I guess I could stand it up just to say if anybody ever cares. And I've got the static assets, but no database file.
I will tell you though, if anybody's familiar with the Internet Archive and the Wayback Machine, they're basically a nonprofit that tries to catalog the whole internet, and they've been doing that for like 20 years, I think. There are actually some captures of TXO and some of the hosted sites from back then that have some of the actual data, and you can actually go and visit it like a regular website. So there's some of that stuff there. Some of the images are missing, can't get to every page, but it has a decent amount of it, so you can at least see what it's like and maybe even catch some of the data. I don't know if the forums are actually cataloged in there, but some of the home pages, and you can kind of see a moment in time of what TXO or some of the hosted sites were like.
So it's like an actual group of people that just download everything from the internet and back it up. Like how do they dictate what to download?
Yeah, it's like a nonprofit that really just like a big web crawler, and it just every so often it tries to crawl all the sites on the internet. So every so often you can like actually see like a timeline of days when they've actually captured it. So yeah, if you just look for like Google Wayback Machine, and it's a thing, you can put in any URL and kind of see it historically.
So is that the equivalent to just like downloading a page? Like, because you can download a page and then it just saves it, to your computer, and so that's what they're doing, but they're doing it to like as many pages as possible.
Yeah, I would say that's correct. Yeah.
Wow. You imagine how many terabytes of shit that is?
Yeah, I mean, especially over like the last, I think, like I said, I think it's the last 20 years.
So what, they just have like a huge server just full of drives just loaded?
I'm sure.
I want to see that server. Count me in.
The Internet Archive does a lot of cool stuff. They archive a lot of and like freeware stuff, things that don't have like copyrights around it.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. Wayback Machine is just one piece of it. But yeah, it's there. Just check it out. If you ever need to see an old version of a website, Wayback Machine is always a good option.
That's crazy.
I use it all the time.
I didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's unreal. We got more questions in the comments?
Original VHS tapes. Sorry, I'm just looking at a few of these original VHS tapes. I'm pretty sure I have them somewhere. Just like in a box somewhere. I don't think I threw them away.
That's crazy.
Oh, Andy, what's up, man? Other than coding being a hobby, what made you choose THPS as a subject of the website? THPS was just like the shit. Like, it was cool. Like, I loved playing it online. So it was just incredible. Like, I didn't play any other game like I played THPS. What was my vision for it? So if I remember right, I mean, Planet Tony Hawk there were a bunch of guides for like how to get through different levels. So I think it was just trying to create, number one, a community, like a forum, for us to talk outside of the servers, again, because the servers only allowed like 4 people at a time. And then number two, like to be able to, well, I'll say 3 things. Number two, be able to tell people like noobs and whatnot who weren't playing in the online how to play the game the right way, what we felt like was the right way, and like score well. Because that was kind of what it was about then and what was so amazing. And 3, just to kind of keep articles and guides and to stuff that we thought was cool within the game. Not just how to win a level, but kind of, again, how to like go and do a glitch or, whatever it might be. How to do a line also. I mean, that obviously was a thing.
But speaking of Planet Tony Hawk, MistaFreeze, do you know Slateman?
I don't. Off the top of my head, no.
Okay, he's somebody that I could probably introduce you to as well. I'm sorry, it sounds so braggish. I know him a little bit, and I'd be happy. He lives in Sweden now, but he'd be somebody that might be fun to get on as a guest for sure. Anyway, just a thought.
Yeah. Huh. Benson, if there was a professional skater you could get on the podcast, who would it be? So I've reached out to Rodney Mullen a few times, and he's got like an agent that he goes through, and I just can't seem to get through to this agent. But I keep trying. Cool. But is there anyone in particular, if we can get him on, that you'd like to see on?
Yeah, I was gonna say Mullen. He was definitely my favorite. I always really liked kind of ground tricks and whatnot. I know when Training for the Homies happened that Neversoft was trying to hook me up with something just for running it. So they asked me if I wanted a signed deck from Tony Hawk or from Rodney Mullen. I definitely picked Rodney Mullen over Tony Hawk.
Oh, badass! You still have it?
I do, yeah. I still have it in the box. I collect a lot of stuff, but yeah, it's still in the box.
See it, but I should have told you to pull it out.
Yeah. It's one of his. It was a test deck of his.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I have that signed. It's been sitting in a box for about 10 years, and a little letter of authenticity from Neversoft saying, "Hey, we gave him this deck for this and that, whatever."
Yeah. So your pick would be Rodney.
What was that? Yeah, Rodney for sure. Yeah. I'm trying to think of some names of newer people. I guess that wouldn't be, but I only know newer people. I don't really like follow the skate community too much or watch videos that much. But I got into the show called what was it? King of the Road. Yeah, that was on Vice. I'm a big fan of that. I don't know if you guys are familiar at all, but it's like a competition that Thrasher puts on where it takes 3 teams of skaters on the road, and they go and do they have to do tricks and they get points for it. It's in some ways a lot like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but in real life.
Did you ever?
Because there's a lot of real tricks and there's real dumb side things.
Did you ever skate yourself or no?
No, I never could skate well.
Yeah, never could I.
Cool.
Yeah, is that it? Is that nothing else popping up?
I don't see. Biz says Steve Cab would be a good one. I agree. Steve Caballero would be awesome to have.
Pretty cool for sure. Yeah,
he's an OG, and he was in most of the games, if not all of them.
Been cool to get Chad Muska too. He was really good.
Sure.
Vert. He was a super good vert skater. Yeah. Well, sick. I appreciate both of you doing this at the same time. I know it's hard to coordinate all the time zones and everything. So.
Happy to do it. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it. I hope I didn't steal anybody's thunder. So.
No, it's the community's. I just happen to be the one doing it. So.
Yeah.
But it works out really good. So. I think we'll just end it at that. Unless there's anything else you guys want to add, we'll just end it at that. That's
it. Just thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. And again, learning that there is still a community of people out there. It's nice that care. So it's awesome. Yeah. I'll try to get on Mac sometime.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. If you get on Mac, let us know. That'd be pretty cool. All right.
Will do.
Well, cool.
All right, guys.
Thanks
for watching. Everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you.
Yeah. Catch you later.